Gentlelady reserves. The gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield all of our remaining time to the great gentleman from Ohio, the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, Mr. Jordan.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the gentleman for yielding. Americans want safer streets, affordable gas, and freedom. Instead, Democrats give us record crime levels, record inflation, and another bill attacking President Trump, sponsored by the guy who spent years misleading the Congress and, more importantly, the country on Trump-Russia investigation, on Mueller investigation, on impeachment. Remember when the sponsor of the bill said that his office didn't meet with the whistleblower? Found out that wasn't true. Remember when the sponsor of the bill told us that we would hear from the whistleblower during impeachment? We'd actually have real process instead of having hearings and depositions in the basement, in the bunker of the Capitol. Remember when the sponsor told us this? That there was more than circumstantial evidence that President Trump colluded with Russia? That turned out to be false. Bob Mueller said it was false. Everyone knew it was false. In fact, it was such baloney, even the Washington Post has had to retract and change things from stories because they said, oh, yeah, there was a lot of false information in that dossier that they used to go spy on President Trump's campaign. And I think this is important to understand. Sponsored this legislation wasn't just any member of Congress, Mr. Speaker. He wasn't just any chairman of a committee in Congress. He was the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, the committee that gets additional information from anyone else in the country making those claims that were not accurate. So maybe instead of having another bill that attacks President Trump because Democrats are afraid he's going to run and he's going to win in 2024, so they want to do everything they can to attack him, maybe instead of another bill attacking President Trump, we should actually focus on things that the American people care about. You know, you can attack President Trump all you want. I know one thing. A year ago, the border was secure. Sure was. A year ago, cities were safe. Safer than they are today. A year ago, we didn't have a 31-year high inflation. We actually had wages going up, real wages. A year ago, we didn't have a Department of Justice attacking moms and dads, putting a label, a designation, a threat tag on parents who simply go to school board meetings and speak out against a racist Hate America curriculum. No, we didn't have that a year ago. But you guys can keep attacking the president all you want, not addressing the issues that the American people care about. We're going to speak about the issues they care about. We're going to try to do everything we can to slow down your crazy agenda that is driving up the price of everything. We're going to speak out against and do everything we can to make sure the Department of Justice quits attacking parents. God bless the whistleblower who came forward and gave us the information, sent from the Counterterrorism Division of the FBI. We could be dealing with that issue today. We could be holding the Attorney General accountable, the Justice Department accountable for what they're doing. No. We're going to attack President Trump again. Democrats, that's the only thing they can do because they can't talk about anything else. I hope we defeat this bill. Yield back my time.
California is recognized.
I thank the gentlewoman. I rise in support of Representative Ocasio-Cortez amendment. The GAO's expertise and technical capacity are critical to Congress's oversight. This amendment by my colleague gives GAO access to important information in the IC's possession that is necessary for the conduct of GAO's responsibilities, while also ensuring the protection of sensitive sources and methods. It strikes the right balance between security, transparency, and needed oversight. It also imposes confidentiality restrictions, clarifies the GAO officers and employees, like their IC colleagues, are subject to penalties for unauthorized disclosure, and requires the Comptroller General to consult with the Director of National Intelligence to establish protections against such unauthorized disclosures. In sum, the amendment will enhance congressional oversight of the IC in a manner that protects our national security. I want to thank my colleague for offering it, and I urge a yes vote and yield back.
California yields back. The gentlewoman from New York continues to reserve.
I reserve, yes.
Gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, every time the chairman, Schiff, rises to speak on a bill about intelligence and security and holding the president accountable, I get excited hoping that we're going to hear about that evidence of collusion and all the other investigations that were conducted in this House over the past year. I'll yield back, absolutely.
Will the gentleman yield? Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, yield.
Well, let me ask the gentleman, are you aware, just by way of illustration, that the president's campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, secretly met with an agent of Russian intelligence and provided Russian intelligence with internal campaign polling data, as well as strategic insights about their strategy in key battleground states? Are you aware of that?
I think everyone's aware of every bit of information that you all have tried to peddle over the past 4 years.
Let me ask you, are you aware that while the Trump campaign chairman was providing internal polling data, that Kremlin intelligence was leading a clandestine social media campaign to elect Donald Trump? Are you aware of that?
I think we see every day. Facebook just announced that Russia was trying to do a Facebook campaign in Ukraine, if I remember reading that correctly. Mr. Schiff,
would you like me to go on?
To a question
would you like me to go on?
What would you yield to a question?
Well, I'm asking you, would you like me to, you asked me to present you with some of the information?
No, I think it's great. Are you aware of
would
President
you like
Biden's
me to
son
continue?
Hunter's art dealings?
Are you
aware of the president's son's dealings with in Congo with the cobalt mine?
Well,
Are you aware of the dealings in Ukraine?
To get to the gentleman's question, I am aware of President Trump's son meeting secretly in Trump Tower in New York with a Russian delegation with the purpose of receiving dirt on Hillary Clinton, which the Russian delegation represented was part of the Russian government's effort to help elect Donald Trump in 2016. And I'm aware that Donald Trump Jr., said in response to that Russian offer of dirt on Donald Trump's opponent that he would love it, suggested the best timing would be in late summer, and had a secret meeting in Trump Tower. And when asked about that secret meeting, both the president and his son lied about it. Are you aware about those facts?
I think that everyone's seen all the information, again, that you all have peddled. I'm curious if you would like to take a wager on which president's child, which president's son, at the end of the day, once we have the gavel, will be the most security risk to our nation.
So I'm happy to continue to outline the contacts between the Trump campaign and Russia, their solicitation of Russian help in the election, the former president's effort to coerce Ukraine into helping him cheat in the election. I would happy to go chapter and verse if you would like me to use your time that way. Right now, though, the subject of this amendment is to allow the General Accounting Office, the GAO, to help Congress oversee aspects of the intelligence community. But if you're more interested,
I reclaim my time.
The gentleman has reclaimed his time.
They've spent a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of tax dollars on trying to peddle a lot of wrongdoing in the previous administration. This bill is all about the previous administration. Every speaker on their side of the aisle has mentioned Donald Trump's name numerous times. Every speaker. It's time for the majority party to focus on governing and get over their obsession with Donald Trump.
Gentleman yield, gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Missouri is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Kentucky, Mr. Massey.
Gentleman's recognized.
I thank the gentleman from Missouri. I find it incredible what the other side of the aisle is saying. They said this bill was rushed to the floor, rushed to the floor. Do you remember when this was invoked, the National Emergencies Act? March 13th, 2020. After that, we were told 15 days to slow the spread. How many days are we up to? Does anybody over there know? It's over 1,000 days. And what has happened in that period of time? How did we get to this position? The law that Congress passed, that was invoked by the president, former president, and extended by this president, the National Emergencies Act, requires at least every 6 months you vote on whether to extend it. We did not follow the law under the former speaker. They used the Rules Committee to prevent this bill from coming to a vote. And then the claim that the Senate would need time to deal with this. The Senate has already passed this. Even the Senate, the bipartisan Senate, passed 61 to 37. I expect there would have been a lot of votes here, but the president came in to try to save their skin. The gig is up. The gig is up, but he wants to keep the music going a little bit longer. Mr. Biden says that he wants to honor his commitment to give 60 days notice before ending it, because he's issued this statement of administrative policy and he only issued this when this bill came to the floor, but he's issued this policy, says he's going to honor his commitment to 60 days notice. Why is he taking 100 days? If anybody over there can do the math for me, is May 11th, is that 60 days from now? No, it's more like 100 days from now, roughly. So the notion that this is rushed to the floor is ridiculous. Biden wants to keep it going. He wants to spend money under his emergency authorities, which he shouldn't have right now. And it's very irresponsible with the debt limit looming, with us in extraordinary measures. The reality is he wants 100 more days to shove money out the door and to waste money that hasn't been guarded very well or audited. It's been 1,000 days into 15 days to slow the spread. It's time to end this emergency now. I support Mr. Gosar's bill, and I yield back.